Full many a gem of purest ray serene, the dark and fathom caves of ocean's bear. Full many a flower is born to blush unseen, and waste its sweetness on the desert air. My name is Dr Maurice Duffy, and I'm here today to talk to you about business strategy. So why do I always start the business presentation with a piece of poetry? Well, that piece of poetry is important to me on two levels. One about personal performance and one about organizational performance. And today I'm going to talk about organizational performance, because so many businesses will blush unseen and waste their sweetness on the desert air. It's a strange world out there, and it's kind of scary, a bit surreal. And as many businesses face re-entry and a return to what we hope is a return to normality, we remember it's going to be difficult for many of us. You know, I was talking to somebody yesterday and they said to me, I'm lost in the familiar because everything seems so normal around me, yet everything is different. And the world of business will change, the world of organizations will change, and the strategy that we adopt is absolutely critical in order for us to control that change. And what all of this has told me is that right here, right now, that many of us are screwed. Why? Because the world is going out of normal orbit. And we're not just facing the end of something, we're facing the beginning of something new. So many of you out there are thinking about the bounce back, and some of you are worrying about the bounce down. But both of those are dependent upon the type of strategy that you implement, the type of organizational health that you consider. And what I'm going to try and lead you through and try and show you today is perhaps another way of doing it. You know, I've been researching organizational health, business strategy and leadership for 20 years. I've worked with some great leaders, some who've got it so right and some who've got it so wrong. I've led organizations around the world in over 80 different countries, and I've made some dreadful mistakes and done what I think is some great work. I've spent time with those who have looked disaster in the face and survived. Be they politicians, be they business people, be they sports people, be they ordinary people. People who have survived unimaginable traumas and who have come out fitter and stronger. And what have I learned? Well, I've tried to synthesize all the learning, all the knowledge, and define what we need to do. I put it into business language, simple business language. Right, as kind of strategic priorities to deal with the new world. And I've called it, because you have to call it something, and I've called it RESHAPE strategy. What we have to do is to look back from the future. And as we look back from the future, we have to reshape our organizations. We have to reshape them in a completely different way. We have to reshape the mindsets, the attitudes, the behaviors, and we have to reshape the way that we do business. What have I learned? I learned that nothing is predictable. Nothing has a right to last for everything. That as we go into the world, right, if we extend the past into the future, it is no indicator of future success. Our particular problem is that the world is unpredictable, and we have to respond to that unpredictability by being faster, by being quicker, by dealing with ambiguity, by dealing with volatility, by dealing with uncertainty in a new way. The RESHAPE strategy, which I'm going to explain, will deliver on the needs of the new normal. So let's look at the RESHAPE strategy. Let's just look at the R in isolation. The R is all about rapidly recovering revenue and customers. Now, it's really difficult in this world to be thinking about profitability, but a lot of organizations are. Many companies are rewriting their playbooks, and they're rewriting their playbooks on 3 different levels. It's not just about surviving the crisis. It's not just about enduring the crisis. It's not just about leading out of the crisis. It's about doing all 3 things together. So that R is important because we've got to get on revenue, and we've got to rapidly increase we've got to rapidly ensure that we're bringing our customers back. The E stands for embrace horizon thinking, and that's both using a telescope and a microscope. You have to look long and act short. The S in RESHAPE stands for startup mindset. This is so important for leaders. Leaders fundamentally have a view from a corporate perspective, but they have to also have a view from an entrepreneurial perspective. And a startup mindset is about, I am the enterprise, I own the enterprise, I am responsible for the enterprise. Let's deal with the H in RESHAPE. For me, one of the critical parts of the RESHAPE is all about humans and health. So many individuals are very anxious about returning to work. They're very anxious for themselves and for their families. And it's absolutely critical that organizations are very aware of this and respond effectively to this. Many individuals coming back don't trust their organizations fully. And in order to build that trust, it's important that organizations recognize the need. So that human engagement is absolutely essential. You know, in the high-performance organizations, we see it again and again. You know, people don't just come to work to earn money. You know, the high-performance organization have tapped into that discretionary engagement. And what drives that discretionary engagement? Well, let me tell you. It's the health. And this is achieved by understanding aggressively and monitoring closely organizational health metrics that I call to 7-level status. And what do I mean by that? A lot of organizations will be looking at their financial balance sheet and will be prioritizing their P&L. But I will say that measuring, tracking, monitoring health is just as important. So in any strategy, if you do not include both the human and the health aspect, it is a flawed way of thinking. The A stands for accelerate. It's about speed, and it's about accelerating digital by turbo boosting digital efforts to reflect changing customers and employee expectations. Now, what I've seen in China and the organizations that I've been working with down there is the speed with which they have deployed some of the new thinking. So when we talk about digital, when we talk about climate change, when we talk about sustainability, when we talk about the environment, when we talk about health, you know, this is not part of your long-term strategy. This is not part of your long-term vision. This is something that has to be implemented with speed right now. So what I say is the A is so important because you have to accelerate the deployment of digital, of social, of human capability, and of health. The P stands for purpose-driven playbook. Now, purpose is so important to me. You know, when I'm coaching individuals, when I'm coaching organizations, I'll ask them, who are they? Right? And a lot of organizations or a lot of people will start to describe themselves as, you know, my name is Dr. Maurice Duffy. Well, who are you? I'm a coach and strategist. Who are you? I'm a father. Now, but who are you? What does your organization absolutely stand for? Right? Because if it doesn't stand for something, then it has little meaning. So seek out your purpose. Make sure it's at the core of everything that you do. Now, the E stands for environmental scanning. Many leaders are either outwardly focused or internally aware, and you have to be both. Leadership is not a matter of doing this or this or this. These days, and especially as we move into the future, it's about doing this and this and this and this and this and this and this. In the blink of an eye, the coronavirus has upended the world's operating assumptions. Now all the attention is focusing on countering this new and extreme threat and on blunting the force of a major recession that's likely to follow. So monitor and track trends on climate change, on globalization, on the world of work, on supply chain, on health policies, on consumer aspirations or concerns, on employee trust, on employment. That's just to name a few. The challenge was going to be is separating the signals that they're sending you from the noise. So what we have to do is to listen to the different voices. And there are 6 voices that I talk to. There's the voice of society. There's the voice of the market. There's the voice of the business. There's the voice of the customer. There's the voice of the government. And then there is the voice of the employee. But we have to listen and get insights as to what these voices are telling us. We have to understand that. Because sometimes we know what we know. Sometimes we even understand what we don't know. But what sometimes we fail to understand is the unknown unknowns. And as we move to the future, that sensing, that insight, that listening, that environmental scanning is going to be so important. And it comes back to communication, and it's about applying a superior communication. So let me talk to just superior communications for a moment. Let me just break the words down superior. So the S is about simplicity. Simplicity is genius. The U is about understanding others' concerns and listening to those concerns and building those concerns in. The P is about making it personal. Always make it personal to the individual. The E stands for about engaging. always engage the audience. Engage them by telling stories, engage them by listening to them, but always make sure that your communication is engaging. Or is about reframing. Think about it from their lens. Look at it from their lens. Right? Apply the communication in a way that they understand, but also builds in their concerns. So reframe any communication to ensure that it's meeting that need. The I stands for insightful. Ensure that you're listening and you're replaying back the concerns that you're hearing. Ensure that you're having a conversation with them on their topics or on their concerns. The O is about being objective. I know you have a story to tell. I know that there's certain messages that you want to get across, but ensure that it is an objective way of displaying the information or articulating the information. The R stands for regular and consistent. Regular. If you make a commitment, make sure you go back on the commitment. If you promise more communication, make sure you maintain more communication. Make sure that it's regular and make sure that any follow-up is consistent to the messaging that you've already said. And put superior communication right at the top of your agenda. So at the RESHAPE strategy, right, the core elements, typically operate in combination rather than in isolation. So think of it, the RESHAPE strategy is something that you deploy in its entirety. Now remember, the past is a place of reference, not a place of residency. As we move forward, it's really important that we apply the business strategy, and it's applied based upon looking back from the future. So many organizations take from where we are to where we want to be, and I mentioned this earlier. But what we need to do is to move to that future and look back. And as I look beyond COVID, what I see is organizations need to be more flexible, more adaptable, more agile. I see that they need to be more digital. There's more home working. There's a completely different way that we need to approach it. When I look at you guys, and what I say to you guys is, the genius, the intelligence that we have should be applied to a future that's coming at us very, very fast. In applying the RESHAPE strategy, it gives you a greater understanding of your organization because it builds in human, it builds in health, it builds in environmental scanning, it builds in the 6 voices that I talked through. It gives you the opportunity of being able to be more holistic, but also being able to look at the organization in a minute detail. And that's when I talk about, having both a telescope and a microscope view. If you want to know more information on this, guys, come and talk to me. I'm always happy to talk. I do hope that the session has been good and I've given you some insights into my thinking, into what's happening in the future, perhaps some thinking that you may apply. So from me, Dr. Maurice Duffy, thank you very much for your time.